Today I'd like to read some poems from all of my films. This first poem, because I got such a wonderful intro there, is actually dedicated to James and I, and anybody who knows James and I will completely and utterly understand this. I do love us, he said to her. I love us too, they do mutual purr. We are the best people we know. She laughs at him, says, yes and no. Yes and no, what do you mean? Me a dandy, you a queen? There are others we both like too. Oh, the others, what do they know? Of sables and minks, diamonds and pearls, gramophone records, poetry and earls. You're right, she grants him, having thought. We are the best, do you think not? Ah yes, he cries, I like your style. I like yours too, we're so worthwhile. This next poem is an insight into, I suppose, modern life, called Facebook. Crazy how people used to meet, in a bar or in the street. Now we become Facebook friends. We'll probably never see them again. Yet these people have access to our whole damned life. They know if we have a husband or wife, know what we ate for our lunch, for that matter, for our brunch. They see the photos that we post of our weekend trip out to the coast. They know the music we prefer, the articles that set us astir. Do you remember the days? I do. When you made a new friend in the nightclub loo, saw that person the following week, decided what secrets you give them to keep. Has Facebook improved things? The jury is out. It's different, that's certain, of that there's no doubt. I still have my real friends, 10, 20, no more. Not the other hang-ons, 600 last score. Now this next poem was inspired by a trip I went to Belarus with my beautiful daughter Ruby. We went walking with wolves, but it's also slightly inspired by my favourite book, which is called Women Who Run with the Wolves. I found a little wolf cub. Ruby was her name. She bared her teeth and snapped at me. I loved her just the same. So many stories, wolves from... No, sorry, start again. So many stories of the past, feeding human babies. I'd repay the debt at last. So I took the little wolf cub home, made a den, a domestic roam. Romy and Reem were smiling down, remembering the day a wolf fed them in the town. My little wolf did miss its mum. I gave it food to fill its tum, but plaintive howls it still would cry when the moon was high in the sky. One night, 'twas in my bed at 4, a snarling I heard by the door. I opened my eyes, there did I see a giant mummy wolf staring at me. She pounced on my bed, drooled and growled above my head. Teeth were almost round my neck. The little cub, my fear did beck. She nuzzled up beside my arm to show her mum I meant no harm. She gave a lick along my nose, patted my ears with her quite big toes. The she-wolf, she did draw back, could see I saved her cub from lack, looked me right into my eyes. For a moment we saw our soul and wise. Wise woman, we all run with the wolves, wild and free. In our hearts, all banshee. The she-wolf and I, one and the same, two unbroken souls battling against the grain. And this next poem is inspired by my other daughter, Scarlett, who was dressed fairly inappropriately at a festival the other day, and everybody felt they had to tell me about it. And so I wrote a poem, which is kind of answer back to everybody's opinions. I'll wait for the siren to stop, if it's going to. You can't let your daughter outdress like that. There's a chance she might get raped, not necessarily by the boy she goes out with on a date. Really? You think her skirt's too short? You think she should have some kind of escort? Yes, actually, that's exactly what I think. What sort of mother lets their teenager teeter on the brink, in shoes so high she can hardly walk, she'd crack her makeup if she tried to talk? Really? You think I'm to blame, not bringing my girls up to feel shame? Well, yes, actually, I do. You should be embarrassed too. Think about it, you know what men are like. What would happen if she had a drink tonight? So what you're trying to say, let me get this straight. Looking as she does, she's offering it to them on a plate? Yes, finally you've got it. That's what I'm trying to say. You're going to have a word, makes sense, no one has to pay. Sorry to disappoint, I'm not going to say a word. To make her feel bad about growing up is totally absurd. What about the boys? Don't they deserve some stress? Going out treating girls as porn stars at best? Now would you please just go away? Stop with the verbal guns. I'll concentrate on bringing up my girls. You focus on your sons. This last poem is inspired by a quote by somebody whose name I can't pronounce, but I'm going to make an attempt to. Ali in Abu Talab, who was the husband of Muhammad's daughter Fatima and founder of the Shiite sect of Islam. And he said, Almighty God created sexual desire in 10 parts. Then he gave 9 parts to women and 1 to men. 9 parts of desire, that is what woman is. Feel her fire? Man has but 1 of the 10 that God gave out. His one is lust, which leaves him craving woman's touch. Women, on the other hand, have a more gentle glow, swagger of the hips that flow, curve of the womanly breast, heart beating within her chest. Eyes that do lure men in, like pools that draw them to dive in. Smile that captivates, makes men pull towards the bait. Tenderness of those little hands, to feel them, men will cross the lands. Wriggle of the polished toe, oh, man cannot breathe if he sees it so. Laughter that makes her flush, gives imaginings of the orgasmic rush. The final one, the warmth she gives, the ability to forgive. Women will always be 9 to men, becoming whole when he grants her his 10.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Lady Tara, please, one more time. A woman who can single-handedly triple our crowd. That's very impressive for everyone who came out. On the back of what Tara has just done there, I'd actually like to put forward my own Arabic offering, which is actually how you say anyone can do anything in Arabic, but it's the proper way you say it, and it inspired me to write about a friend of mine who died when he was 21 in Lebanon, and you'll see what the phrase is when I say it, so there you go. In a cafe, by the Corniche, looking out on an azure sea, in the Paris of the Levant, my friend turned and said to me, "La shay maktub," nothing is written. And how smitten was I by his words when I heard him say, he would not bow to the fickle winds of fate, to let the tunes of hate that had played their vicious jig up and down his land for so many years, an earth watered with the blood and tears, for countless lost lives, grieving wives and children without kin. But he said to me, James, we cannot let this wickedness win. La shay maktub. We don't have to fight to prove who is right with the barrel of a gun. After all, aren't we one in the eyes of God, Allah Jehovah? Call him what you will. Whatever text you read, to kill is forbidden, to love divine. So let's sup the wine of peace and throw the cup filled with the bitter dregs of war to the ground and speak of it no more. La shay maktub. We don't have to despise those who see the world through different eyes. There are as many paths to God as there are grains of sand on the beach, and we all have things of worth to learn or teach a stranger. Difference does not have to mean danger. I sing in French. I sing in Arabic, sorry. I make love in French. And I converse... c'est la langue d'amour, n'est-ce pas? And I can converse in English with all manner of people, whether they worship neath a minaret or a steeple. Le Shay Maktub. For didn't he give us free will to choose, to know what it is to win or lose, to be fickle or have faith, seek contentment or chase the flickering wraith of monetary gain to a barren plain filled with objects, but no friends? Doesn't he want us to make amends for the evil that men do, to be the glue that binds, that makes a society kind? He finished and lit a cigarette, his face etched with a mixture of hope and regret at all that he wished for and all that he had seen. I would that his words had been a prophecy and not a dream unattainable, but these cruel years since have shown how fallible his wish for a better life was. Because? To hell with because. These cruel reasons that violence must always win, these fickle truths, they make my head spin. For even now his mantra echoes in my ears. Through these years, to put aside hate and seek a paradise forbidden. Trust in love. Le Shay Maktub. Nothing is written. Thank you. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to be treated to